the New York Mets have a really good chance of getting Craig Counsell, definitely according to John Heyman. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy Mets content. This is All Things Mets. This is where you get your latest Mets media, everything you need to know about the Mets on this channel. So definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe. But definitely, let's get into today's topic, and that is going to be Craig Counsell, according to the John Heyman, going to the Mets to be the next general manager of the New York Mets. Now, we know that the Mets need a manager. We know that, after, Buck Showalter being fired, or, we know that Dave Stearns is looking for somebody, and he is looking at, of course, this is reports, he is looking outside the organization. So definitely guys like Carlos Beltran, and other guys, they're not going to be, guys that they're looking at. So outside the organization they're looking at now. And Craig Counsell is outside the organization. His contract is going to be up with the Milwaukee Brewers in October. And this is huge, huge news for the New York Mets, guys, because Craig Counsell is a player's manager. He is very well respected. So many players respect him. Definitely a 5-time manager of the year. Because he learned from the best. He learned from Jim Leyland. He learned from Bob Melvin. He learned from a lot of, experienced baseball minds. And imagine if the Mets were able to get Craig Counsell, who is a player's manager. That is a big, big thing, because, when guys like, when a manager can, relate to these players, because he was a player. Craig Counsell was a major league player. So he not only is a manager, but he was a major league player. So he can definitely relate to players. He has, dealt with a lot of talented players like Christian Yelich, like Josh Hader, like multiple players, Corbin Burns as well. And he's had, and he's developed player connections, manager connections with those guys. But just in general, when you think of, the New York Mets and having these young guys like Francisco Alvarez, Ronnie Mauricio, Brett Beatty, these guys, David Peterson, Tyler McGill, these type of guys that, it would be great to see that, having a connection with a manager. So Craig Counsell is a player's manager, and that is a big, big thing that the New York Mets really need. And they need somebody that can connect to these young guys and, and have trust in these guys, and be able to talk and have conversations with these guys, definitely over the years, Christian Yelich, Corbin Burns has, talked to Craig Counsell. They've gone to his office, and they have had multiple conversations with him. So this is great news for the New York Mets. You already know the connection with Dave Stearns, being the first ever president of baseball operations for the New York Mets. And the fact that he has the connection and he's been, working with a guy like Craig Counsell for so many years, this is a huge, huge thing and a huge advantage that the New York Mets have over this situation. So I don't know exactly if the Mets are going to go right after Craig Counsell, but definitely, according to John Heyman, they have a really, really good chance of getting Craig Counsell. Now, Craig Counsell is with the Milwaukee Brewers, but his contract is up in October. So after October is done, then the Mets can start talking to him. The Mets can start, obviously trying to get him to be their manager for the coming year, 2024. So this is a big, big thing. I think that this guy, like I said, this guy is a great candidate. This guy is a great candidate. He's a player's manager, and that's what the Mets need. They need somebody that can, be with these players. They need somebody that can talk to these players. They need somebody that can connect to these players, because he was a major league player, and he's been a manager for so many years, and he's learned from the best. So, and he's been successful. The Milwaukee Brewers have been successful. They've made it to the playoffs, so many years, previously. And obviously they didn't win the championship. Craig Counsell has never won a championship. He's never won a world championship. But I say this is someone that you got to look at, especially after, Buck Showalter Buck Showalter leaving the New York Mets, and, the Mets basically firing him. They got to look at Craig Counsell. And like I said, he's a player's manager, so why not look after him? You already have the connection with Dave Stearns. You already have that connection. So I say Dave Stearns, I hope he, uses his connection and he goes right after, Greg Counsell. And why not? Because you need a guy. The Mets need someone with baseball major league experience as a manager, and Craig Counsell has it. So I think they should definitely go right after Craig Counsell. And I'm sure there's other candidates that they're going to be looking at, as well. But if I'm Dave Stearns and I'm the New York Mets, I'm going to go right after a guy like Craig Counsell because he is very, very, very talented as a manager. And like I said, he's a player's manager, and that's what you want. Like I said, the Mets need a manager that can really connect to these players, and, a manager that knows how to put their foot down, a manager that has the trust of the front office. That's a big, big thing. Now, if Greg Counsell can make moves and the front office trusts him, then why not? Why not? You already have the connection with Dave Stearns and, Greg Counsell. So it's either whatever way the Mets want to go about it, but I think the Mets have a really, really good chance of getting Craig Counsell, and so does John Heyman as well. So, yeah, man, that's going to be the end of the video. If you enjoy, definitely leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This is where you get your latest Mets news, everything you know about the Mets. I do Mets reports, Mets streams, everything you know about the Mets on this channel. This is the off season, but I'm definitely going to be covering so much of what's going on with the New York Mets. So stay tuned. And yeah, I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. Stay blessed. I love GM for life.